This is We All Be, news-free Dixie for the 21st century. See how it works? Somewhere. Can you dig it?
Hey, I'm here with the one and only Dr. Reverend Earle Fisher, head of the blackest church in all of Shelby County. Abyssinia Church in Whitehaven, Blackhaven. Also one of the organizers of this event to meet the mayoral candidates, and also one of the one of the chief organizers of the People's Convention coming up this summer of 2023. How you doing today, sir?
Man, I'm good. Always good to see you, brother. Salute to you. Salute to your mom. You know, we've been rocking for a long time. People don't know this, man, but way back, you know, when we were doing the pastor and the professor with G. Joyner, and you were on one of our videos when we did it at the church. We talking about some of the issues. Man.
It'll be 10 years ago this year. That's crazy.
I think it's more than 10, actually. I think it was like 2012. I think it was like 2012. But either way, man.
It was like a decade.
Always good to chat with you and chop it up with you. I also know the Fort Pillow commemoration is coming up. You know, I've done some keynoting for y'all and some of that.
We appreciate it. I always appreciate your help in our community events. I want to talk about how important is this race for mayor in 2023 for Memphis?
Now, I was in a conversation the other day and somebody framed it saying that this is the most important election in probably about 50 years. Here's why they said that's the case, and here's what I support. This is the first time since the 1970s there's no incumbent running. I also think it's important because, I mean, talking about the landscape of representation in a city that's 65% black, and you've had a non-black mayor for the last 8 years, and the way that the landscape looks now, which is part of the motivation for this, trying to make sure that the black vote is not diluted, you run the risk of potentially having non-black representation for another 4 to 8 years. And it's kind of hard to talk about racial justice issues, especially on a national scale when we think about what has happened with Tyree Nichols and things of that nature. If you're going to have the chief executive of the city be non-black in a majority black city, and you're going to do it, if you elect somebody like that to office, then I think that says a lot about the state of the city from a black consciousness standpoint. And you know, black consciousness ultimately shows up in economic policies, in educational opportunities, and employment opportunities, and all of that stuff. So, you know, if you can find me a city that is, you know, 65% white and has elected black mayoral leadership, you know, for 8 years or 12 years or 16 years, then I think you can talk me off the ledge of some of these initiatives. But for right now, I don't think there's any other way around what we need to do other than put together events and opportunities and encounters where everyday people can have conversation with people who want to run their city. You know, and they should be able to do it outside of the context of a debate or a forum or a town hall. You know, it should be much more conversational, like walking into somebody, running into somebody at the coffee shop. So that's the environment we're trying to set up with some of these meet and greets. This is the first of several, and so we have some more, and hopefully more candidates will be willing to participate.
And speaking of candidates, I'm glad to the ones that did show up, but it's like certain ones that people like is looking to engage. It wasn't here. Obviously, Mayor Harrington, former Mayor Harrington, current Sheriff Bonner Jr., Floyd Bonner Jr., and also the Honorable Judge Joe Brown. So should that, you know, reflect poorly on them if they didn't show up today, or like what do people should?
I wouldn't necessarily say it reflects poorly on them right now, but I will say since we have several of these, you know, because people have schedules and conflicts and things of that nature. But by the time you get to the third or the fourth or the fifth, I think that speaks more to your governmental philosophy than it does just some miscommunication. So, you know, right now we haven't heard directly from Mayor Harrington's campaign. Sheriff Bonner's campaign just said they're not interested in participating, and I think that says something. And then we've had some indirect correspondence with Judge Brown's campaign. You know, School Board Commissioner McKissick's campaign is considering. Even the white candidate, Frank Ovette's campaign, has committed to participating. So, you know, I think it remains to be seen exactly what this says about certain people's candidacy, but I do think it provides an opportunity for us to start more clearly interpreting how somebody would govern. If people aren't committed to participating in events like this where everyday people can have a direct conversation with them about issues that are important to them, unscripted. You know, this is not you just sending out a PSA This is not you doing some campaign ad where you could be well polished. You know, it's not a debate that you can sensationalize, right? This is an opportunity for you to meet somebody right where they are and talk to them about issues that are important to them. If you are not willing to do that, especially over a series of meetings, I think that says something about how you would govern if you're in office. And part of what Memphis has suffered from is misrepresentation in office. You got low voter turnout because you have low engagement. Here's an opportunity for engagement, right? You have low voter education. Here's an opportunity for people to be educated on the issues and where elected officials or aspiring elected officials stand. And so if people aren't willing to do that, chances are when they get into office, they're going to govern in ways that are inconsistent with the will of the majority of the citizens. So what we hope to do is get more people educated, more people informed, more people engaged, and hopefully it'll lead to better turnout. And so this is not about ultimately these individuals. This is about these issues. This is not about individual personalities. This is about policies that we expect to get enacted in office. And so what's most important for us is the people's agenda that we've been sharing with people, that we put together several years ago after we did over 2,000 surveys. And so we'll see where people stand on the issues, and hopefully, you know, people who really want to govern in a way that's representative of the will of the majority of the citizens avail themselves to participate.
I gotta ask you this because I'm trying to avoid. I know you gotta be neutral.
No, I ain't gotta be neutral.
I mean, I'm gonna say like for you because you're organized. Okay, but the Sheriff Bonner is actually active in office. He's over, of course, the Sheriff's Department. Also, he's over to a popular now. Two things have happened in the last several months. Tyree Nichols situation, where 5 cops were fired or decertified. Then also, before that, in October of last year, the Joshua Freeman thing and 201 Popular with this naked black man was beaten to death by 20 sheriff deputies. And Sheriff Bonner is over that institution that some people say is worse than Rikers Island, and it's half the size of Rikers. So what's your take on that? Like, you know,
my take on that is I got a take on that's consistent with my take on everybody in public office. You need to be fully transparent and fully accountable. So do I expect for Sheriff Bonner to account for what has happened under his leadership? Absolutely. We got former elected officials running. So I think Dr. Harrington should be accountable for the things that happened under his tenure. Van Turner was in office as a Shelby County Commissioner. He should be accountable for the things that happened under his jurisdiction, under his tenure. Anybody else who holds political office. And so, you know, we don't waffle around conversations relative to accountability no matter who's in office. Like Malcolm said, I'm for justice no matter who's against it. I'm for truth no matter who's speaking it. And so these are opportunities for people to clarify, you know, where they stand, what they've done, and what I feel like has been lacking from a political office standpoint is people willing to say the buck stops with me, even if it's, hey, I missed the mark here, and I want to do what I can to do better. What you usually see is people passing the buck, blaming, you know, you see this from the current mayor. The current mayor has had 8 years to increase the wealth gap, right? Or not to decrease the wealth gap. He's had 8 years to decrease the crime rate. Yeah, 8 years to decrease the poverty rate, right? And what you hear right now is him saying it's the judicial system's fault, or there's not enough black parents who are reading to black kids, or things of that nature. It's the faith community's fault, right? It's all this passing of the buck. Same thing happening with the police director, right? And what happened with the Tyree Nichols situation. When what you want in robust and righteous leadership is people saying the buck stops with me. It was my fault. If something happens at Abyssinian, I'm not going to blame the choir director, right? I'm going to say, hey, you know, ultimately what happens at that church is a reflection of my leadership and my level of engagement with the people who are connected to that congregational network. So we hope to see that. So I don't care if it's Bonner, I don't care if it's Brown, I don't care if it's Turner, I don't care if it's Young, I don't care if it's Gibson, I don't care if it's Camper, I don't care if it's Prince Mongo, okay? Whoever it is, they have to be accountable for what they've been able to enact when they have been in leadership positions. I don't think anybody should be running for the office if they can't platform their leadership portfolio. And so, you know, whether it's Bonner or whoever else, you know, and this is why these things are important. And so I think you have people who pass the buck, and then I think you have people who kind of like fall into the shadows and try to wait for the smoke to clear. And so we're not going to get nobody to pass on that, no.
How can we find out more information about what you're doing?
UpTheVote901.com, UpTheVote901 on Facebook, at UpTheVote901 on Instagram. you can always reach out to me, or upthevote901@gmail.com. The next one of these is going to be April the 8th at the Orange Mound Arts Council Building, 2471 Park Avenue, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. We encourage more candidates to come out and more community members to come out.
Thank you, Brother Earle. In the words of Duke Ellington, we love you madly, and you keep on producing and pushing. Right on. Thank you, man.
Yep.
Hey, everybody, this is Brother Ron. I am asking you all to do me a big favor. Think about supporting the We All Be movement. Your donation is tax deductible. The We All Be Group Incorporated is a recognized 501c3. And I'm just asking you all because I want to keep on bringing y'all quality work through the way that I know how to do best. And I'm going to sing my praises and toot my horn. A lot of y'all were not hip to Dick Gregory until Brother Ron brought him on the We All Be platform, until that Django review we did. Y'all seen another side of Judge Joe Brown, and Judge Joe Brown's message has been amplified. But it was We All Be that brought Judge Joe Brown to y'all back in 2014. And so many others. And we covered so many things. So help us out so we can help you all. Peace.